Also, now let's move on to another issue. Front page of the Washington Post: crime skyrocketing in Washington, D.C. I know Republicans like to say, oh, it only happens in Democratic cities. That's a lie. Earlier this week, a study showed the highest crime rates were in cities in Louisiana and Mississippi. Jacksonville also bad. But man, it's horrible in West Coast cities. It's tough in Philadelphia, where cops keep quitting. And it's especially bad in Washington, D.C., where D.C.'s even going against crime rate. Carjacking's up 110%. Murders up 26, 27, 28%. Property crime skyrocketing. There's no accountability. No accountability. What is going on, not only in D.C., but in all of these other cities, and also, my gosh, in red states like, in cities like Jacksonville or Monroe, Louisiana?
Look, Joe, this is what happens when you send a message as a prosecutor that there's certain crimes you're not going to prosecute. And that's what's happened in cities all across this country. And when prosecutors are not doing their jobs,
Governor, I don't understand that. Why are we telling people you can steal stuff up to $1,000 and you're fine? We're going to just let you smash a small business owner who's been working his entire life or her entire life to be able to afford a storefront on their hometown. We're going to let you smash their windows, steal their items from the hardware store, from the clothing store, and we're not going to do anything about it. When did that become the norm in the United States of America?
It became the norm in the United States of America when there were a number of cities which elected George Soros-sponsored prosecutors who said that somehow prosecuting this kind of crime is unjust. And what's unjust is the quality of life that you're seeing. And it spreads beyond just those cities, Joe, because criminals all over decide that they're going to take this into their own hands.
I don't think the George Soros prosecutors in Monroe, Louisiana, or Bessemer, Alabama, or Jacksonville, Florida.
No.
I mean, those are the highest crime rates in America.
There are not, Joe, but what happens is when the major cities, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, Chicago, New York, set this tone, it spreads everywhere. And that's what's going on. And what we need is to refocus ourselves on quality of life crimes in this country. In the end, if we don't stop the smash and grab stuff you talked about, the violent crime you're seeing in places like New York, Washington, Philadelphia, and other places, if we don't do that, that spreads, and that's what you're seeing across the country right now. That's why I've said when I'm elected president, Joe, we're gonna send an attorney general and the U.S. attorneys in those areas to go in and prosecute these cases federally, give these folks federal time until the local prosecutors decide it's time to do their jobs again, and that'll be done on the numbers, Joe. If your district in your city is not doing it, then the feds are going to come in and take it over for a period of time.
Well, and by the way, why aren't they doing it in Washington, D.C.? They actually they fund Washington, D.C. They have the ability to do it in Washington. I want to expand it out, though. You're a prosecutor. If some left-wing progressive prosecutor in San Francisco is doing something some way in San Francisco, you wouldn't do it that way in Jersey. So my question is, I really don't think the Jacksonville prosecutors are following George Soros. Same thing with Monroe, Louisiana, and Bessemer, Alabama. Now, I'm not saying that left-wing progressive prosecutors who want to talk about it and figure out the underlying causes of the house burning down before stopping the house from burning down, I'm not saying they're not the problem. The house is on fire. Stop the burning, and then after we stop the burning and we protect people, then let's have a long talk about how these fires keep getting set. Right? But what's happening in other cities where left-wing progressive prosecutors are not elected? What's happening in Monroe? What's happening in Birmingham? What's happening in Jacksonville?
in these smaller places like you just named, Joe, the criminals are not smart. That's what I always loved about criminals when I was prosecuting them. They're not smart. And they look at what's happening around the country, and then they try to do it in their own place. And because those places are much smaller, Joe, it's much easier for them to get overwhelmed when the volume of crime goes that high. And so that's what you're seeing in places, I think, like Birmingham and Bessemer County. Those are the kind of places where the resources are not great because normally they haven't had a crime problem. But now criminals around the country are doing this. The folks there are seeing it, and the volume is going up and overwhelming what's going on. And you also can't discount that the morale of law enforcement officers across this country is very, very low because of some of this stuff that's been going on across the country. They feel like they're not going to be backed up, and so their job becomes much more difficult to do.
Nobody wants to talk about that. Like Philadelphia,
No.
Philly, they can't keep cops there because their family members say, come home. Nobody appreciates you. They want to defund the police. Well, guess what? You're coming home. I'm not going to let you go out every night, risk getting shot and leaving 2 kids without a father or a mother. Come home. So, people don't want to talk about that. They want to talk about defunding the police. I would just like them to answer the question, why are they such racists? Why are they such bigots? Why do they hate people of color? Because when you talk about defunding the police and you look at the data, it is a truly disadvantage. It's people of color in the most disadvantaged areas who suffer disproportionately, especially Black Americans. It makes me so angry when people in Park Slope or Brooklyn Heights start lecturing other New Yorkers that live in tougher parts of town about their social theories while they're sipping like soy latte. So I sound like a conservative. I'm so conservative on crime, Chris Christie, that guess what? I think it should not only apply to a person who does smash and grab. I think it should apply equally to somebody who steals nuclear secrets. I think it should apply equally to somebody that steals plans to invade Iran and then shows them to their campaign manager while they're saying, I'm not supposed to show you this. This is illegal. I can't make this legal. I could have when I was president, but I can't now. So, Chris, Governor, I want to know, why are these same Republicans and conservatives that are so worried about crime, like I am and you are, why don't they give a damn when the President of the United States does it?
Well, look, that's a mystery to me. That's why I didn't raise my hand on that stage 3 weeks ago and say it's okay to have a convicted felon as president of the United States. It was amazing to me that 6 others did. Look, if you want to have a justice system in this country that works, if you want law and order in this country, then law and order has to apply to everyone. And I'll tell you what else is going on here, Joe. It's not only should be applying to Donald Trump, but it also should be applying to everyone up and down the line. And so all these different motions and other things you're seeing in court, I think in the main will be unsuccessful. These folks are going to have to face a jury of their peers. And when you look at the crime problems, and you all remember this because you covered it, when we had this kind of problem in Camden, New Jersey, when I was governor, it was the most dangerous city in America. And what we did, we fired the entire Camden City Police Department. We reestablished a new police department under new rules where they were trained not only in community policing, but in violence de-escalation. What's happened in the 10 years now since we did that? The murder rate in Camden is down 75%. The violent crime rate is down 66%. This is a 90% minority city, guys. And when the George Floyd incident happened, you know what happened in Camden, New Jersey? The African-American preacher in the largest church in the city led the march protesting George Floyd with the white Polish-American police chief, because the people in that city felt like the police were on their side and they were working together to keep their city safe. That's what we need to return to in this country, is where the citizens of any place in this country feel like the police are working together with them, and so is law enforcement. We did it in Camden, New Jersey. If you can do it there, you can do it in any city in this country if you want to focus on it and do it the right way.